What's up guys, this is Ray and today we'll be talking about the 2019 CG anime movie Lupin III the First, directed by Yamazaki Takashi and featuring the voice talents of Kurita Kanichi, who's been the voice of Lupin III since the 90s, I want to say. And also in the supporting cast, we have the voice talents of Hirose Suzu, Yoshida Kotaro, and Fujiwara Tatsuya. Before we dive into this review, if you guys are new to Eiga-Man Ray, I upload reviews and discussions of Japanese movies every chance that I get. So if you're new to the channel and you do the content, you can help support this channel by checking out other videos that I've uploaded and also by subscribing. Let's talk about the movie, Lupin III the First. When it comes to anime characters, I feel like Lupin III is always going to be one of those characters that I just get hyped up over. And I try to check out any new anime movie or TV series featuring Lupin III or any of the characters because I absolutely love the character and I love the music. I love the theme song. The theme song is one of my favorite anime themes of all time. Every time I hear it, can't help but get hyped up. And I also enjoy the director Yamazaki Takashi's movies. You know, he's directed the Always Sunset on 3rd Street series, the Parasite movies, Stand By Me, Doraemon, even the polarizing CG anime movie Dragon Quest Your Story, which was also released last year. So I wasn't able to check out Lupin III the First in theaters last year. It came out in December. I checked it out most recently on DVD. The story of Lupin III the First, you know, it's about Lupin III, our titular thief, and he teams up with this young lady by the name of Letitia to steal the Bresson Diary. So the Bresson Diary is this treasure that contains information on the whereabouts of this weapon of mass destruction. And it's not only Lupin and Letitia who are after it, there are also some Nazis who are going to get into Lupin and Letitia's way. So that's how the story of Lupin III the First starts. And when it comes to the positives of this movie, first of all, you know, this is the first Lupin III movie that is made entirely in CG. I think Yamazaki Takashi has a pretty good record when it comes to CG anime. I mean, Stand By Me, Doraemon, and Dragon Quest Your Story, you know, reviews of the actual story contents aside, I feel like the CG in these movies are great. And I feel like that carries over into this movie. The CG animation in Lupin III the First is fantastic. You know, I grew up with the 2D animated ones. I remember, I think my favorite movie of all the Lupin III movies was Castle Cagliostro, but they did a really good job with the animation here. The animation here successfully combines, you know, fluid motion when it comes to the way the characters move on screen, as well as the way, the idea of how they should move, judging from the old movies and the old anime series. So all the really cool, fun, and quirky mannerisms that Lupin and his friends have are captured perfectly here. And of course, I think it goes without saying, the voice performances were fantastic. I mean, you have Kurita Kanichi, who's been Lupin III himself for the past 30 years or so. And, you know, he portrays Lupin flawlessly. And all the regular characters that come in, you have Goemon, you have Jigen, Fujiko, and Zenigata. They're all portrayed by the current voice actors of those characters. And so to hear them perform as their characters is always a pleasure. I do have to give props to Hirose Suzu, Yoshida Kotaro, and Fujiwara Tatsuya's characters. You know, I think when it comes to anime movies, a trend that's been happening recently is using actual film actors to do voices, and you get some mixed results. But I felt like for the most part, although these three actors are more active on as film actors, they did a great job in portraying their respective characters. Although Fujiwara Tatsuya, he played this character by the name of Gerald, who's basically the main bad guy of the story. And I don't know, Fujiwara Tatsuya I feel like can only really play one type of character, and he does that kind of performance in this movie. You know, say what you say, you know, about his range of acting, or at least I don't know if maybe I'm the only one who thinks that, but I thought he was still entertaining in this one. And when it comes to the action sequences, they're all a lot of fun. I think maybe it's the CG that really does it. I think the CG did a great job of enhancing the action sequences. You know, anything that involves Lupin, Fujiko, Jigen, and Goemon doing what they do is just, you know, seeing it, the way it was portrayed in this movie was excellent. And I think when it comes to the formula, the type of things that I expect to be in a Lupin movie, everything from the international cast of characters, you know, Lupin doesn't explicitly stay in one country. He usually deals with people of many different types of nations, and that's no exception here. And his flirtatious relationship with Fujiko also is here. Jigen being damn cool when it comes to his gunplay, Goemon being a badass when it comes to cutting things up, and Fujiko always, you know, stealing anything and everything she can get her hands on. Zenigata chasing them along the way, and Zenigata also being the sometimes ally to them. You know, everything is in here. And of course, you get the charm of Lupin himself. I mean, very few people do it better than Kurita Kanichi. When it comes to the negatives of Lupin III the First, first of all, I don't know why it's called The First. You know, upon hearing the name of this movie, I had this impression that it was going to be like a prequel movie of sorts, like how it started with Lupin. But you know, that story has been done a few times already. But yeah, they don't really say why it's called The First. I mean, my hypothesis with it is that, you know, Lupin's grandfather kind of is involved with the story a little bit. I mean, you don't get to see him on screen, but he does have an important role to play when it comes to the setup of the story. So Lupin the First could have something to do with it. But that aside, I felt the biggest negative when it came to this movie was the villain. Like, you have Geralt, who's played by Fujiwara Tatsuya. I felt like as a villain, he was a pretty paint by the numbers Nazi kind of character. Didn't really have much depth, or really, you know, he's just this Nazi. They just, you know, a typical Nazi character. I felt the more intriguing character was Professor Lambert, who's played by Yoshida Kotaro. You know, he kind of goes back and forth, and as like this villain and as his grandfather figure to Letitia. But I felt like he had a more rounded story throughout the majority of the movie until the very end. I felt they kind of dropped the ball on his character at the very end, but I felt like he was the more intriguing villain. But in the end, I guess by all terms and definitions, Geralt was the big bad of the story, and you know, he just kind of fell flat as a villain. And I don't know, I have mixed feelings about this weapon of mass destruction that is written about in the Breslin Diary. I don't know, I don't want to get too much into it for fear of spoilers, but I felt like it just felt out of place with this story. I don't know, that's just me. I mean, it was cool to look at, it was cool to see it in action, but I just felt like design-wise, it felt weird. But overall, what do I have to say about Lupin III the First? As a Lupin movie, it's a lot of fun. It's fantastic. As I mentioned earlier, it checks all the boxes if you want to see Lupin III go in, like doing some cool heist, stealing things, charming the ladies along the way. This movie has it all, and is very beautifully animated. This movie features just a ton of beautiful shots and action sequences. I couldn't complain much about that. And it features all our favorite characters, you know, Lupin, Jigen, Goemon, Fujiko, and Zenigata doing what they do when it comes to interacting with each other, the way they banter back and forth, the way that Zenigata just chases Lupin all over the place. And if you're looking for that kind of dynamic to be prevalent in the story, this movie does it. And for me, I think one of the biggest pops is maybe just hearing the theme song played at the right parts throughout the story. So definitely check this out. But yes, those are my thoughts on Lupin III the First. What did you guys think? If you've seen it, please let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on those social media channels. And if you really did the content, feel free to hit that notification bell so you can be updated every time I upload a new video. And of course, check out my Patreon page, which you can find in the description area below. And yeah, that's about it for me, guys. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all my patrons over Patreon for supporting me in anything and everything that I do. And I'll catch you all again in the next video. Take it easy.